Hello folks, this video is going to be for a 1997 GMC Safari. Of course that applies to the Astro, applies to the whole generation before and after, and technically a lot of other vehicles out there, because changing alternator is going to be very simple. Normally you only have to disconnect the negative post, but I'm disconnecting both because I'm used to doing that. Plus I think it's time to change this guy here because it's kind of corroded and rusty. Yeah, I could probably just clean it, but these guys only cost like about $5, so I'm going to change that later. Anyways, with this vehicle it would be a lot easier if you remove the shroud. Some people might attempt to do it if they have smaller hands to pull it out from here, but this is actually my second time changing an alternator on this vehicle, so I know there's going to be a bit of heaving on this, so it's best to clear it away. Once you clear it away, as you see, I still have my 3/8 wrench stuck in the tensioner, and just crank down on it to give yourself some slack to remove the serpentine belt from the pulley. Do it slowly so that you don't have to reroute everything, because you know it's just a little bit of pain to redo it again. Of course, if your belt is old, you should change it. I actually changed my belt not long ago, I think about 3 months ago, so it's relatively new. It's going to be these two big bolts here. I'm not sure what size it is, maybe about a 15 or 16. There's going to be 2 bolts, alright, and then on the back there's going to be obviously your positive charge terminal and a little clip that gives you the voltage for sensing. And of course here's the new alternator, so I can just show you. So the back bit I'll talk about is going to be this post right here, and then you're going to have the clip that comes off from here on the back, so don't monkey it off too quickly. And of course the 2 bolts in the front. Alright, so it's actually a pretty easy job. When you do remove the 2 bolts, if it doesn't come off, because again this is my second time doing it, just stick like a little flat head into here just to pry the alternator off the bracket. When I remove it, I'll show you the bracket so you know how it looks like. Actually, that's the bracket right there, right here, but I'll still show you a video with the alternator off. Alright, so here's the bracket I was telling you guys about on both sides. The clip connector is right here, just a very simple clip. You can use your finger, shouldn't be stuck. And then here's the power connector, positive, that'll send power to your battery. So I've already sanded mine a little bit, it's a little bit rusty. Here's the bolts, they are a little bit longer, and I think it was relatively easy for me to take out because last time I put some anti-seize compound on here. So earlier when I was mentioning that you might need to use a crowbar, I just used a little flathead, and that's because you're going to have to wedge it out, because this part right here on this side and this part on this side sits right inside that bracket. So it sits in between, and that's why you just have to kind of wedge it out, just gently. Be careful, because as you can see, the cables I showed you, the clip connector and also the charge cable, it's really short. It's just right there. The other tip is to make sure when you install it not to pinch this wire that my pinky is shaking at in here, otherwise you're in for a world of problems. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be changing my battery post terminals because, well, it's due for it. The other thing is spinning this. Obviously it's not going to be as free as the new one, but I do feel some resistant, and that's probably why I'm getting the inconsistent charging. The problem I was having with this vehicle is that I'd see the voltage. This is not a new vehicle, it's a 97, so it doesn't have, well, first of all I should say the voltage regulator is built into here, but it doesn't have all the new fancy gadgets that the new vehicles have, where it will fluctuate the voltage depending on your battery so that it doesn't overcharge it or gives a gentle charge versus just whacking it with a bunch of voltage. So with this alternator I should always be seeing above 14 volts, especially with full load. But what I see instead is it alters right down to, well, that one time kind of scary, 11.5 volts, and I was going, oh crap, I'm going to be stranded. And then I basically whacked the alternator. Not the best thing to do, kind of like a starter, and it went back up to 13, not 14. I was expecting to see, 14.5, 14.8 volts for charging. Right now, before taking it out, it was usually sitting only about 14.1, sometimes 14.4, but it's usually 14.1 down to 13.6, and sometimes I'd see 12, but it's operating in the 14s. Not the best, and I think, yeah, it's just best to change it. And again, so far I'm only half an hour into this job, which means most of you guys can also do it definitely within the 2 hours. Make sure you also change your either pulley if you have to. I've done that recently. Might as well change your tensioner pulley and your belt. But I did these guys 3 months ago when I had my power steering pump issue, which I forgot to make a video of. I just wanted to get it done. Really needed the vehicle back then. So anyways, yeah, this is a job that anybody can do. Highly encourage you to do it so you can save money on the labor. And of course, if you buy the part, you'll probably get it cheaper than paying at the shop. And keep some money for Christmas, for more presents for yourself. Okay, anyways, installation is just the reverse order. I'm just keeping it covered because it's, you can't really tell, but it's -3 out here and it's kind of cold. Camaro, I forgot to cover it, but oh well. I'll take care of that later on. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year to everyone, and if you have any questions, please post below. Alright, sorry, just going to add a little bit more to the video. If you're changing the whole belt, particularly on this vehicle, it's easiest to route everything over the fan, of course, and the top part. And from underneath the vehicle, looking up, it's easier for you to pull down on the tensioner and do the last little bit on the bottom. If you're only doing the replacement, the alternator or tensioner or the pulley, and you're going to use the same belt as I'm doing since my belt is still new, it's best to route everything and then make sure you the hardest part about this belt is this bit right here where it loops over and under. So you want to pull up with your hand to put the tension on here so it doesn't fall off, and route everything, and then pushing down on this side of the belt. As you're pushing down on it, pull down an tensioner and then slip it underneath the idler pulley. That's the easiest way to do it. At least that always works for me. If somebody else has a better way, please do share, because again, this belt basically does this. So I used to always lose it around here and here because you have to come around like this. So that's why it's easiest to put tension on here, which is going to pull and keep everything tight here, and as you're pulling down here and you pull this tensioner up, you can easily slip it on this other pulley. If you're replacing the whole belt, you can see why doing the top is easiest. So then when you're pulling on this, you can ensure that this is routed properly, because if it's not, your first startup of your vehicle is going to be quite disastrous. And I'm not sure if I mentioned in the video, all the bolts for the alternator, they were all 13 mm, okay, millimeter. So the two big ones on the back, on the front, and then even the power post on the back, those are all 13 millimeter. If you have any questions, please ask below. Thanks for watching.